This is Free Speech News, and it is March 7th, 2021, and we have a lot of news this weekend, and we have some breaking news today and yesterday, and when it comes to election integrity and dealing with the November 3rd, 2020 election. And this comes from the Gateway Pundit, to their credit, who is staying on top of these things, as we should be, because elections will not mean anything if we do not fix what happened that day. So, per this Gateway Pundit report, piles of shredded ballots were located yesterday in a dumpster in Maricopa County. And this comes just days before the audit of the 2020 election for Maricopa County that is set to begin in just days. And this is not coincidence, quite obviously. Just a couple days before an audit, and we have people finding shredded ballots, and hopefully they can put some of them back together so we can see exactly what is on them. And as we know, this coming audit by the state Senate, remember, there was a previous audit that was agreed to if the county board could pick the auditors. And they ended up picking two firms that they claimed to be the only two certified by the governmental body. But per Gateway Pundit, again, they found out that they were actually not certified at the time they were picked by the county board. And not only that, this firm was obviously not going to do a fair audit. The program they were using would not pick up the wrongs. And they were even throwing it in observers' faces by labeling their networks FU. Quite interesting, right? And I'm sure the election board, who, by the way, are Republicans, they have been fighting tooth and nail. They have been fighting this so hard, and I bet they thought they had won. I bet they thought they got one over on the Senate. But they sure were wrong. And the Senate, who got sick and tired of it, and because of the failed audit, they went ahead and passed a bill that would grant Arizona legislator the authority to subpoena election records like ballots and tabulating equipment and ignore any laws to the contrary. And this was ruled by a judge as well. So they are now in the process of finding fair auditors, and as the day approaches, coincidentally, again, we have the facility that is storing the ballots and equipment reportedly wide open with nobody there guarding the ballots. And we have this guy right here in this photo finding all of these shredded ballots. I mean, look how many shredded pieces of paper there is. And I have a question. Is that not tampering with evidence? I know a senator by the name of Mark Fitcham wants to bring some of this to the grand jury, and he said he was going to. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. But they are obviously trying to destroy something that is damaging, and yet no authorities, the FBI, etc., will get involved. And while I was recording this, we have an update, actually. And I wanted to point out that after these ballots were found and reported on, a mysterious fire happened at one of the election board members' farm. That is not weird at all, people. That is not weird at all. There is no conspiracy, but that sure as hell is not a coincidence. I mean, there is a fire after there has been a report of found shredded ballots. And also, the ballots are being put together. And so far, they seem to be coming from the 2020 election, and they are actually filled out ballots. And as the suspicion and the evidence mounts of wrongdoing and continues to grow, again, authorities are nowhere to be found. So it is up to us, we the people, to keep this alive and make sure we have 100% fair election come 2022 and 2024. We must keep up that fight. And speaking of fighting for elections, we have more good election news per Gateway Pundit again, because hardly any other news outlet is doing the work that they are to uncover the truth about what happened November 3rd. And as they reported before, and I've also talked about this, there was a hand recount in Windham County, New Hampshire, and it was discovered that each Republican candidate was shorted by exactly 300 votes, which is what threw up the red flag to begin with. And also, a state senator had called out the state officials and stated Windham County needed to be audited. But, imagine this, the real push came from an activist by the name of Ken Eyring, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, who pushed the Secretary of State, Bill Gradner, to have an audit of the county. And after a 3-hour conversation, the Secretary of State agreed to have an audit of voting machines and the ballots. This is huge, huge news. And more, we are going to find out what happened on November 3rd. And we have to get rid of these machines. These machines are no good. And this is why people cannot forget. And this is why people need to realize that we, the people, can actually do things to make a difference. We, the people, still hold power. This was an activist that pressured and got this audit agreed to. And any one of us can be an activist, whether it is simply spreading the truth on social media, making videos, calling legislators, protesting, etc. We must fight to expose November 3rd and what happened. And after this audit, the forensics, they will be releasing their report. And I can't wait to see what they find. So those are two big things I will definitely be keeping my eye on and waiting for the results that are going to show the truth. And moving on to some more damaging news for Governor Cuomo, as every single day there seems to be some type of new news that is not good for the New York governor. And the pressure is on his administration right now. And I would not be surprised if some of them begin to flip. But Breaking by the Gateway Pundit again. And I do get information from other places. It just seems that they are always breaking the stories early. But the New York Attorney General, Letitia James' office, who is investigating Governor Cuomo, has requested that Governor Cuomo's office preserve all documents that could be relevant to the sexual harassment investigation, and this includes his aides and electronic communications. Now, this is important. This is important. I wish they would do this about the nursing home deaths, and maybe they are, and just keeping it quiet, but we shall see. And we know there is 2 investigations going on with the nursing homes. And we'll have to see what happens with that. But as the bricks are starting to crumble on Governor Cuomo's wall that he has built up over many years, is not looking good, and it seems that it may very soon fall. As we have 2 more aides coming out and accusing Governor Cuomo of sexual harassment, bringing the total number to 5 people. And Karen Hinton said that Cuomo would repeatedly hug her and make her uncomfortable, that Cuomo embraced her in a dim-lit hotel room, and as she pulled away from him, he aggressively pulled her back. And the other accuser, analyst, who worked for Governor Cuomo, said that Cuomo would kiss her hand and asked her if she had a boyfriend. And there is a little more detail into this right here, but it seems like this is going downhill really fast. And this pattern is severe. It's not just embracing someone or saying hello. It seems to be a lot more than that, and Cuomo is just a sick man. I mean, remember the nipple rings that were showing clearly through his shirt? So we know he is into some weird stuff and maybe possibly has some fetishes. But he is one sickening man, and more women are going to continue to come out. And he must resign. And I want to move on to something that's probably even more damaging, especially to America and American citizens, as a looming border crisis is developing, as thousands of immigrants were apprehended in one single week. And that number is 10,000 to be exact. And this is in just one border sector. That is a Texas district of Representative Henry Queller out of Texas. And this is a Democrat as well. And he put out a quote about the border crisis stating, "We are weeks, maybe even days, away from a crisis on our southern border. Our country is currently unprepared to handle a surge in migrants in the middle of a pandemic." And he expresses a lot of concern over the spread of the coronavirus, which he very well should, which the Biden administration seems to have forgot about when it comes to migrants and immigrants. And there is more on that in a minute. But Representative Queller went on to say, quote, "Right now, none of the migrants are being tested for COVID-19 by any border patrol. I mean, are you kidding me? Joe Biden, Dr. Fauci, his administration talks about wearing masks and slowing the spread and trying to stop COVID-19. But all these people that agree with Biden's policy as well talk about preventing COVID. And they are keeping America locked down and businesses closed. But we have thousands upon thousands of immigrants that are flowing into our country with no COVID-19 test. This is huge, and this is not good for America. And to show how bad it is, we have even more Democrats that are expressing their outrage as Representative Vincent Gonzalez is not staying quiet, saying, quote, "I can assure you it will not be long before we have tens of thousands of people showing up to our border. And it will be catastrophic for the country, for my region, and for my district." And coming from the Washington Examiner, there is no plan at all to test these people for COVID-19. And you know what happens with these people after they are captured? Well, we know catch and release is active, and they release them not into Mexico, but into our country, where they will travel all over, thousands of them, and it's only going to get worse. How people support these things is beyond me. I mean, and the weirdest thing, the coincidence, is all these immigrants that are set up by the border, they have Biden t-shirts, brand spanking new. I mean, where are they getting these t-shirts from? Who is supplying these t-shirts? Where is this money coming from? It's insane. And even his own supporters, his own constituents are not happy with him. And what is going on at our border, this is directly because of the Biden administration and his policies. And I will always say I like to say the Biden administration, because we know Joe Biden is not the front man, but rather the spokesman, and a very, very horrible one at that. His decline is happening before our eyes, and Kamala Harris is getting ready to take over the presidency.